Good evening, Gabby.
Good evening, TC, and welcome all to the final programme in this series of the Curran View with the Idol of Hillsborough. And TC, we don't have a script today. There's no magic moments. There's no book corner, no strange but true, no time vault, no tales that Mavericks tell. Just recapping and reminiscing and looking back at the season that's just unfolded. It's been a fantastic season for me. So many highlights, one or two lowlights. But I have to say the ultimate magic moment was at Wembley this weekend when Nottingham Forest ran out 1-0 winners. And for the first time in 23 years, are back where they belong in the Premier League. And largely down to one person, Steve Cooper. So let's start with Steve, a man that you've always admired from his days back at Liverpool working with the kids.
Yeah, it's never bothered me whether managers or coaches have never played the game, as long as you can see there's an end product.
Yeah.
And I could always see there was going to be an end product with Cooper. I watched his under-18s Liverpool youth team. Used to listen to him speak after the game. And he's telling you this story, not a story, like a lot of managers. You know, they're always looking for excuses. You know, wait till I get my players in, then judge me. We've got this injury, we've got that injury. All these teams that have injuries when they've got big squads is irrelevant. Smaller clubs like Huddersfield Town and your other clubs like Norwich who's playing in the Premier League, when they have injuries, it is a big concern for that football club and that manager compared to the elite teams. But no, I'm a big admirer of Cooper. I'm a big admirer of Graham Potter at Brighton. No disrespect to Chris Hughton, because as a player, I played against him many a time. Absolutely terrific. And they go on about, attacking full-backs today or wing-back, whatever you call them. They're still footballers. Whatever way you look at it, he was as good as anyone going forward as well as defending. I haven't played out of position because really he's a natural right footer.
Yep.
I mean, all footballers should be natural both feet. They should have two good feet, But he was a right back. I'm saying he was a right back. I don't know where he started his position, but he was a full back playing at left back. But he's a right-footed, more dominant on his right foot than on his left foot. But just like Sam Allardyce at Wrexham, Sam's had a great career in management. Made himself a lot of money. Always done okay with keeping teams up. But what he did, what these managers do, is look more on the defensive side. Well, you're never going to get enough points. This is my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. It's my opinion of it. When you go down that line and you worry about the opposition, then you're not going to get enough points, because the players talk. Let me tell everyone now, players talk in dressing rooms and away from the ground, what they think about the manager, what his philosophy is, how he worries about the opposition, or he doesn't worry about the opposition. So all that goes on at a football club. So for me, Cooper, I've always admired him. And what I will say about Huddersfield, I missed a lot of the game because I fell asleep, and there was definitely one penalty. I didn't see all the game. There was definitely one penalty Huddersfield should have had, in my opinion. A lot of people have said they should have had two.
Could have, yeah.
Or could have had two. But it's like, how else? Football is the most unpredictable, or not funny, but it can kick you in the teeth. When you look at Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, they're going for a quadruple. They've had a marvellous season. They've come up against a team in Manchester City, which I think is the best in Europe. Yeah. Right? And City are losing 2-0 at home. So of all teams, Aston Villa, who's managed by a ex-Liverpool player, legend Steven Gerrard. And they come back to win 3-2 with 15 minutes to go. The week before we were discussing this, they were 2-0 down against West Ham. And they come back and drew 2-2 and missed the penalty. Yeah. So everybody, the pundits, the media are all saying that Liverpool haven't had a good season. Look, Real Madrid is one of arguably the biggest club in the world. You know, you can say Manchester United and Barcelona, but it is worldwide. They've won 14 Champions League, European Cups mixed together. But regardless what anyone says, if anybody's been honest and fair about it, Liverpool completely battered them.
Yep.
But what Liverpool did, they knew that Junior was the main danger. And if Junior was on form and could get enough of the ball, it could cause Liverpool problems. And what Liverpool did, they doubled up on him, trebled up on him, and stopped him even getting the ball. And we all know how good Qatar is when he was at Chelsea. But he had one of those games, and I don't think Liverpool missed chances. He just made spectacular saves.
Yeah.
All right. At the end of the day, whoever wins it deserves to win it. But I know as a player, coming off that football pitch, if I were Real Madrid, I'd think to myself, we got away with that one today.
Yeah.
But Cooper, yes, I've always admired him. I admire Graham Potter because I know the thing people like Sam Allardyce, and I know Sam a little bit, not really well, but as I'm leaving Huddersfield, as he's leaving Huddersfield, I'm coming into Huddersfield. Yeah. But I played against him many, many, many times when he would play for Bolton, and he is a nice bloke. But for me, what let him down, he thought too more defensive-minded with his football teams, where Potter tries to win games. So he'll move on to the next level of football. And regardless what Sam says or thinks, you know, Sunderland and Newcastle, they don't mug the football clubs. They're a massive football team. Right, I'll go along as what I will agree with him is they haven't got the money back then like they have now. So that's always going to be a little bit easier as long as you spend wisely. You haven't spent £500 million and they just fought off relegation. So you can have as much money as you want, but if you don't spend it wisely, it will backfire on you. So whereas Sam caused his own problems with his philosophy on football, Graham Potter has gone the other way. And make no mistake, when he leaves Brighton, he will get one of the top 6 clubs.
Yeah,
make no mistake on that.
He will do, yeah.
You know, it's going to be fascinating to see Cooper now in the Premier League because the Championship, there is a big difference. It always says, when you're going up a level or to the next league, there is a big difference. But the even bigger difference to the Premier League is you're getting world-class players from all over the world. You're getting a lot of average players, make no mistake on it. But you're getting a lot of world-class players. So for me, it'll be fascinating to see how Cooper performs next year. But I think it'll be like Graham Potter. He'll go about it the way he's gone at all his football clubs, even when he went to England, when he won the World Cup at his age group. I think it was a World Cup at his age group.
It was, yeah.
You know, so he's always had that, and I've always football, because I used to watch these youth teams on television, and I watched how you expect that from Liverpool. You expect, a philosophy, what's going to sort the players, but it would never be renowned as a great player because he played at the lower level, at amateur level, practically, really. But he came across with it, and his teams what played football played with a tempo, just like City do now, just like Liverpool do now. So I've been a big admirer of him since he was managing at to Liverpool's academy, and I've taken a lot of interest in his career when he got into league management. He did terrific for England, like I said, and then for me, it was successful at Swansea, and he missed out twice. Yes. But we in England or Britain or whatever you want to call our nation is we're big. We look for more downside of football, not praising teams, not praising Man City, not praising Liverpool. We look for the failure side of it. And because he didn't get promotion, there's always that little bit, he didn't get promotion, he's missed out on this, maybe. But when you look at Klopp's record up to Liverpool, he would get into finals and getting it closing the Bundesliga and everything else like that. And everybody kept saying, well, he's never got over the line yet. And then when you look at Man City, they've never had a striker as such for the last few years. Everybody criticised Guardiola because they don't have a striker. That's what the reason why he hasn't won the Champions League. I don't agree with that one little bit. Because Liverpool don't play with a main striker. They play a game where they're not going to throw the ball into the box to get caught out by a clearance or a goalkeeper catching it, and for them to be caught on breaks. Them two type of managers and those teams. But it's going to be fascinating for Nottingham Forest. The ground itself has been absolutely rocking all season. I thought the battered Sheffield United up at Bramall Lane, but don't forget the second leg. They got battered, and they really shouldn't qualify to get
absolutely.
Them. You know, I'll always be fair and honest with my views of football teams, if I've played for them or if I like them. You know, but again, I didn't see the final that much because I fell asleep.
Yeah.
But I know he's a good manager. How he's turned that football club round from where they were. And I did say to my friend John Brindley, who's done both my books, and we will do a third book to cap it all off. That they would get promotion. He asked me, well, John phoned me up, what do I think? But I'd already told him prior to that, if I were you, I'd go and get Cooper. He's not in. He was out of a job. He'd left Swansea for what reason, whatever reason it was. You know, we parted company with Swansea. Then when they got the job, John asked me, what do I think? I said, they'll get the playoffs. He said, what, with those same players? I said, well, they've got no money, so he's got to have those same players. It's how you handle those players, how you get those players to believe in you. And I'll tell everyone this now, and this has not been critical to anyone at Nottingham Forest. Brian Clough, I would say, had 5, 6 world-class players. Peter Shilton, Viv Anderson, John Robertson, Trevor Francis, Tony Woodcock. Right? And then you could say the rest were really, really top players.
Yep.
Larry Lloyd was a top player, but people thought he would finish. You know, he'd won everything there with Liverpool, then went on to Swansea. Kenny Burns was a centre forward that Clough and Taylor put at. I don't know who he was in the two what put him to centre back, but they formed a partnership which was incredible. Frank Clark was as good, solid centre back as you'll ever see around that time, and John McGovern, who I love as a person, and Martin and Neil and Rob always used to say to me, why is Cloughy always picking him? I said, because he does something that rest of us wouldn't do. Get the ball and give it the simple ball. And Cloughy used to say to him, young man, you can't play football, give it to Robertson or give it to Curran or O'Neill, whoever's playing. But you get the ball and make sure you get the ball and give it to them as quickly as possible. And then he would say to us, make sure that you don't leave the two midfield players isolated. Yeah. Ian Boyer, I thought, was an absolutely gem of a player. He's one of those players that all players appreciate and want him in your team, but he was technically skillful. Gary Birtles did terrific at Forest, had a nightmare at Manchester United. Yeah, he did. Went for big money and had a nightmare, you know. Peter Wade was a top player and went on to prove it at... and it's strange because Cloughy were always good with players, looking at to play with money. And because of Peter wanted X number of pounds, Cloughy didn't agree with it, and he goes to Newcastle.
But the problem with that is Peter got wind. Peter knew that the other players were on £200, and Cloughy only wanted to give him 180, and that was his final offer. So Peter then, it was a matter of principle. He'd offered him, I think, 190, and it was over a tenner. And if Brian would have given him parity with the other players, he would have stayed. But I was with Peter last night. It was a great function at the Britannia Sports Bar at Wollaston again. And he was talking fondly about his career and Nottingham Forest. And he was saying it really just boiled down to a tenner. But it wasn't, at the end of the day, it wasn't the fact that it was just a tenner, it was the principle of it all, and left and went to Newcastle because Cloughy wouldn't sell him to another first division club, so then he went to Aston Villa via Newcastle United.
Yeah. When you look at that, when you look at it all,
Yeah.
if Peter stops at Forest, does
Yeah.
Forest win 2 European Cups? I'm not saying they don't, and I'm not saying they do. Right?
I think they would have, personally, because again, it's all opinions, and I get that, but I would have always put Peter above Gary Birtles, in my opinion.
By the way, I would agree with that. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying to you is, we still don't know whether they still won the Euro if they get beat. We don't.
No, we don't. Of course,
He
we
goes
don't.
to Newcastle,
Mm.
right, into a second division,
Yeah.
right, and then he gets transferred to Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And he takes Villa to a league title, and wins the European Cup with Villa.
Yeah.
So it's turned out brilliant for Pete, as well as for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Because without question of a doubt, no respect to Gary Birtles, a lovely, lovely kid, and a great footballer at Forest, completely nightmare at Man United.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe the other thing about Peter with, I mean, I was like lightning. I wasn't a bad cross country runner, me, Gabby. I'm not saying I was brilliant.
Brilliant though, wasn't he, Peter?
I mean, John McGovern was good.
Yeah.
John McGovern, but Peter with, unbelievable. Him and Gabby Stevens were the best two cross country runners I'd seen. Yeah. But John McGovern were always, second. He was always second. He was always second at Forest. Peter with, what terrific. To any young footballer, he was. Yes, he got the determination and desire. But he always came in and he worked hard at his job.
Yes.
And he was a better technical player than what people give him credit for.
Absolutely.
I mean, I listened to everybody, even about the goal, what he scored in the final. But he still has to react to it.
Yeah.
If that ball's, it's a bobble.
Yeah.
I mean, people look at it and think, well, he could have missed that. People said the same thing about my semi-final goal. And I keep trying to tell people, it got a slight deflection.
Yeah.
And I had to try and control it. It looks as though I've miscontrolled it. But it's not perfect for me. Excuse me, to put the ball in the back of the net. But absolutely fabulous player. So Cloughie, for me, what he did, when you look at the best teams in the world, what win these Champions League and Cup and European Cups, had a lot more technical players than what Forest have done. It just shows you what a great job Brian Clough did. I mean, Cloughie weren't liked by a lot of players. I loved him because I never got a bollock in him. He was always praising me. But Cloughie did a better job than what people realised. They all know he's a great manager, but I tell you what, when he analysed that team compared to the best of them, and you can say the same thing about Alex Ferguson with, Sir Alex Ferguson with Aberdeen.
Yeah.
To take on Rangers and Celtic and win the league is incredible. And then to take on the mighty Bayern Munich in semi-final and Real Madrid in the final, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We've had some great managers. We've had some great players over the years. Why the FA didn't go down the route of taking advice from any British manager like Bill Shankly and Bob Paisley and probably Ron Saunders and Cloughie. For some unknown reason, we didn't want that. All right, they took Don Revie, but for some unknown reason, Don Revie went the total opposite way to what he did at Leeds United.
Absolutely.
Because whether people like Revie or not, I met him a couple of times. His record at Leeds is second to none against anybody. But when he goes to England, he didn't want to play people like Charlie George, Alan Nuts and Stan Bowles. You've got to find a balance where you can get them in the team. I'm not saying you can play them all in the team, but you've got to get a balance to get at least two of those in the team, what can do the unexpected thing and win a game.
Absolutely, and that's what Cloughie done. Cloughie found that balance, and I think the shades of Steve Cooper and Brian Clough, because when you look at what Cloughie done when he come into Forest, most of them players were there, but not playing to the full potential. They were round the bottom of the Championship. Steve Cooper, when he took over at Nottingham Forest, they were bottom of the Championship, won 1 out of the first 8 games, and any team that's done that prior, and I think it must be only Championship years, not the old second division, but the highest that they've ever finished is 14th, and to get them to the playoff final and to win it. And you always have a phrase, He doesn't fear. And one of the first things that Steve Cooper did when he got into Nottingham Forest, he took all the miracle men out and wanted to know what Cloughy did to make the club special. And he's embraced that spirit of Nottingham. And I think that's a key factor in the success of Stevie Cooper.
I'm going to point out 2 points
Yeah.
about Clough and Cooper. Cooper's got a long way to go to emulate.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, I'm going to pick 2 points out. He's got a long way to go to emulate Clough.
Yeah.
But for first 10 months, Clough did nothing at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Steve Cooper, like you said, had a bad first 8 to 9 games.
No, he wasn't there, TC. It was Chris Hughton.
No. Well, what I'm trying to say is, after the first 8, 9, 10 games,
yeah,
they're near bottom at least.
Oh, they were bottom, yeah, absolutely.
Right? And he's taken them. He's got promotion.
Yeah.
In his first season.
Yep.
It took Clough 10 months to get Nottingham Forest promoted.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history. What I'm saying, he's done a lot better than what Clough did in his first season.
Yeah.
As Cooper, but he's got a long way to go to take over Clough's mantle. But I didn't know he'd done that. What you're saying about the miracle men, but what he's done, he's got that. He probably take the advice of them. He's got to get the team, the fans behind his back, behind him, not on his back, behind him, and he's done that with open arms because the Forest fans absolutely adore him. They love the way he plays football.
Yeah.
But having said that, whatever you're winning, whatever philosophy it is, fans don't mind. I can't watch a football team, even if they're winning, if it's just boring football. I can't.
Yeah.
But for me, terrific job, terrific man, and I hope he goes on to be a success. And I hope he's got a long way to ask, but if it's Forest or someone else. But I hope he goes on and wins a Premiership title because I do like his philosophy and how he plays, and he tells the story, not a story. And what I mean by that, a story is giving you all cod's wallop about this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
The story is a fact.
Yeah.
Plus, Curran's not good enough. Collins is not good enough. Is my main striker. You might go to upset one or two people. You're not there to be you be there to be respected, and have players look up to you and believe in what you're going to do, and that's what Clough did.
Absolutely, too. So, manager of the season, who would be your manager of the season? I posted up, for me, Steve Cooper is manager of the season. Somebody come onto me wall and said, that's a predictable post, Paul. I said, why? The answer was club allegiance. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not with you. And then it was put, SWFC, Wednesday fans love Cooper because they beat the Blades in the playoff final. And I'm going, please explain, what difference does that make to me? I'm not a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I mean, this season I think I've been called a Wednesday fan, a Villa fan, everything else, apart from a Blues fan.
I think you do get it because you're a Birmingham and Villa, and that is as big a clash as what you can get as Liverpool out and Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United.
Yeah.
But you're like me. But I won't talk about Sheffield United. I mean, I will say this. I thought second game, Forest were very, very lucky to qualify.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, Sheffield United played well.
But I'm careful when I'm talking about the two teams across, because it will upset fans. But you don't give a damn, do you?
I was there last night with Peter, with Andy Blair was the compere, and he starts and he's gone. It's a room full of Aston Villa supporters, obviously, because it's Peter. And it's the 40th anniversary, and that's why.
Don't forget to play for Birmingham. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I did, yeah. And Andy's gone, is there any Birmingham City fans here? I'm going, yep, mate. And they're all like looking. And then he started having a pop and stuff and what have you. But all the Villa fans, they know I'm a Blues fan. But I have respect for Villa, and I have respect for them players.
You have respect for football in general. The teams are doing the right thing. And that's what I like about it. Well, I like that you're honest and straightforward.
Yeah.
And you won't take bullshit, but you're not so when you're not an horrible person. You've got a better word than that's my poor English.
Yeah.
You know, you're fair. You're a fair person. Even if your team gets beat, I'm saying if my team gets beat, and if it's Sheffield United, they were the better team. I will say, even to some fans, what do you think? They were the better team.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I don't like the bias. I think that you've got to say it as you see it, and I
I
think
should have
if you
said to
do,
you,
you'll
by
be
the way, give
respected.
with him my
I
regards.
did actually, and he passed these regards back to you as well. He said, "How do you know Terry Curran?" I said, "I work with him every week on the podcast, Peter." He sends his regards and happy memories of Nottingham Forest. But who would your manager of the season be, TC? Mine is Steve Cooper for the job he did. I know that others, well, Jurgen Klopp was the manager of the season, and I think Pep comes second. But I look at both of the starting positions, and you're right. You earlier in the podcast, you said they were 2 games really away from winning the quadruple, and I was hoping that they were going to, because I've always liked Liverpool. I do like Jurgen Klopp, but I do like Pep, and I like the way that Pep plays. So it was always a toss-up out of those two. But for what Cooper done, I think was absolutely excellent. And I think Eddie Howe has had a great time since January when he was able to get some players in. He's turned the fortunes of Newcastle United around. And Graham Potter, I think Potter has had a brilliant season
Just
getting
take something out of
Brighton.
my mouth there.
Go on.
Well, I was going to say great points, but look what Potter's done at Brighton. Can you
Absolutely, yeah.
imagine him having a goal scorer? Because
Yeah,
they've all teams up, but not anybody what could put the ball in there on a consistent
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
You know, who's my? I'm going to go with Guardiola.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for Klopp because he's come that close to a quadruple, which in itself it sounds impossible, doesn't it? Because
Yeah, it
when you
does.
look at your Paris Saint-Germain's with their team and Real Madrid's, Barcelona's not as good as they were with the previous seasons. Manchester City is still a top team. Well, I would say the best team in Europe. How they've not won a Champions League, and it's all a myth about they brought him here. They brought him here to win the league title because the cup competition, right?
Mm.
One bad day, one bad game, you're out of it.
Yeah, we see with Liverpool. You know, they were just unlucky. A goalkeeper played well. That's it. You're out. You lost.
Exactly. So I love the way how Guardiola does it. I love the way how he gets his players to play football. They all hit a little bad patch at some point in the season. I know I'm being predictable about Guardiola. I just love everything. He's not a bad loser, Guardiola.
Mm.
I think it's the pundits and the media try to get to him that you haven't won a Champions League.
Mm.
That's what you were brought for. Well, let me tell you something. He was brought to win the Premier League. He was brought to build up Manchester City's reputation.
Yep.
He's done that terrific. How that team, and I don't give a damn what anybody says, and I don't mean that to be rude, how that team has not won a Champions League, I'll never, ever know.
I agree. Yeah.
You know, you just need that little bit of luck.
Yeah.
Right? Liverpool didn't get it in that cup final. You've got to make a decision. I'm going to go with Guardiola, but I would have been disappointed. I'd have been disappointed if I wouldn't have won it if I was Klopp, because you know he's come that close. But so did Guardiola a couple of years ago to winning a quadruple. What Cooper's done is terrific at the Championship level, and to get him out of that position he was in. And I know, so I can understand why you're saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how he puts his teams together. And look, there's a fine line between Klopp and Guardiola, because either way for me, and Klopp's won it, well done, well deserved. But if somebody's asking me opinion, I would have gone for Guardiola because the league is the hardest thing to win.
Absolutely. Next season, who's going to win it? My money's on Manchester City, and I think Liverpool will be thereabouts. I can't see any other team getting above City next season or Liverpool. I think that's the problem really with the Premier League. Those two just are so much better than the rest. Who's your player of the season, TC? What player this season's caught your eye?
Let's go back to the who's going to win it next year first, right? best these last 2 seasons with Simon Stainrod. I paid him a bottle of champagne out, right? Because he's always criticising, regardless of what he tells you, he criticises Manchester City.
Yeah.
To listen to the rest of this podcast, please go to www.patreon.com/SRB Media, or just follow the links in the description. Thank you.